What up, peoples?
We're back again.
This week we have two movies. If He Hollers, Let Him Go, 1968, and what's the
Change of Mind, 1969.
And they're both starring Raymond
St. Jacques.
Yes. So we're going to talk about these movies, get into them, and we're going to be riding that groove pavement.
All right.
The Groove Pavement. Podcast, talk show, and movie review.
Where we break down the Blaxploitation era, the cinematic genre, the exploitation of the black culture and experience through film and media.
We'll also dive into the cast, the subgenres, the TV shows, and the music.
Outside of the films, we'll view some critical signs of the time and what these stories meant then and now, from entertainment to society to economics.
The Groove Pavement.
Can you dig it, sweet mama?
I can dig it.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Shawn Strong.
And I am Decarius McClearn.
And you guys are rocking with the Groove Pavement again. Make sure you follow us on social media, our Facebook page, The Groove Pavement, our Instagram, The Groove Pavement, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube page. Hit that bell so new episodes come, you get to see them. And our website, thegroovepavement.com. We got these two movies, If He Hollers, Let Him Go, 1968, and Change of Mind, 1969. Starring the guy who was, I think he's slept on as an actor.
Very slept on. And he's I think he's on par with Sidney Poitier.
Yeah,
I really do.
They made him out as the second coming of.
Yeah, Sidney Poitier.
Yeah, very underrated. So, If He Hollers, Let Him Go. There is a fun fact about this. This movie was also known by another name, Night Hunt.
Okay.
Why? I guess because they hunt him at night. Well, anyways, this movie was based off a novel.
Yeah, based on a 1945 novel by Chester Himes, by the same name, but he doesn't have the exclamation point on the novel as it does in the movie. The Chester Himes novel, even though the movie is based on that novel, does not have the same plot.
No.
That was really back in those times in 1945. That was a protest novel.
Yeah.
And it was pretty much, if you've ever read Richard Wright's Native Son, it's kind of in that vein of if we had like a little man walking around in Bigger Thomas's head. You know, it places the novel places a guy named Bob, black man from Ohio, moves out to L.A. into a naval shipyard, and he gets promoted, and he has to deal with the communism paranoia of that time, that McCarthyism. He also has to deal with the racism, and he also has to deal with being sexually baited by white coworkers. So there's that trope again. That great American trope about black people is one of three, actually. You know, one that we're violent and the other that we can't keep our hands off these white girls. I don't understand.
And he just wants to move up in his field, you know. So, but this movie is not like that.
Yeah, it takes a different turn.
Different street, actually. And you kind of wonder, like, you know, why did they change it up that much? That's a question that I would like to know. So this movie, the plot is the guy, as soon as it opens, like it gives you the atmosphere, you know, what the environment is. The guy breaks out of prison. Mr. Blake, he breaks out of prison. He's end up hitchhiking. Actually, before he starts hitchhiking, the guards, you know, they see him breaking out. You know, they start busting some shots. Yeah. They shoot one of the other COs. And that's going to be pinned on Blake. Yeah. So and then he hitches a ride, and then this guy that gives him a ride, he has a dilemma as well because he thinks his wife is cheating on him. Yeah. So Blake helps out the guy because his car is, you know, jacked up, or he set it up for it to be jacked up and falls asleep at the wheel. And then when he gets him home, hey, you know, thanks for helping me out. Yeah, you know, and he gives him a ploy. He wants him to kill his wife for 10 G's. Yeah, because he thinks his wife's cheating on him. So the thing is, with Blake, he's an escaped convict now. So, and now he's being threatened by this guy to kill his wife for 10 G's because if, you know, they pin that murder on him, you're going to get double life anyway.
And he's got to think on his feet here. He's got to find a way to use this plot, this murder plot. He's trying to beat a murder and a rape charge, and he has to use this murder plot to help exonerate himself. And if anybody notices that got the white man that's in the scene opposite Raymond St. Jacques' character, his name is Kevin McCarthy, and his most famous movie is a cult classic called Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh yeah, that was a classic.
And that's also Dana Winters as well. That's who plays his wife in there.
Listen to me. Please listen. If you don't, if you won't, if you fail to understand, then the same incredible terror that's menacing me will strike at you!
Now, would you consider staying?
What do you want from me, mister?
Sit down. Why do you think I picked you up
That's
tonight?
not Bill Cosby, folks.
The two of us are alike. We're both of us murderers. The only difference is you had the moral courage I didn't. I need you, Jim. She's gonna divorce me. If she does, I might as well be dead. It's a game. We're playing a game, and I'm gonna win. I'm not letting go of all this.
She's got the money.
I am not giving this up to some charming southern stud. I loved her a long time, and now it's over. I'm not letting anybody else get in there.
You hear that music, folks?
I've been looking for a way for years, and tonight I found it. You. You're my weapon. You're gonna kill her for me, Jim.
I can't.
Bring him back.
Well, you've dealt with killing before. What's it gonna do to you? Give you a life sentence? You've already got life. We haven't got capital punishment in this state. It's beautiful.
Shit, I might reconsider it.
He trying to butter it up for him.
I'm now gonna sweeten the pot.
So you want me to kill two white women?
Piano key.
I've had this money in here for years.
To that level, they just have 10 G's in the house.
$10,000.
Not for no murder.
It's yours as soon as you do the job. Get the keys to my car. You drive directly to the airport. You go to Hangar 3, get in touch with my private pilot, Walter Jackson. He'll fly you to Mexico. You'll be there in the morning. And once in Mexico, you're a free man.
No, I won't do it. I won't.
What the hell can you possibly lose?
My freedom. My life.
Why were you sent to prison?
Perhaps it never occurred to you, but innocent men are sent to prison.
What about that guard you killed tonight?
They killed a guard. They had to blame me.
In the eyes of the law, you're still a killer.
I won't do it. I just won't do it.
In that case,
That was pretty much the beginning. That's the inciting incident of what's going to happen to the protagonist and his bind.
That's that setup. But what do you think about this scene?
Well, just the way he's putting him in more of a bind, and he's just real light on it as far as like, hey, you just do this, whatever, you get money, and you be off. You're gonna go to prison anyways. He doesn't really care for him,
And the music kind of builds the intrigue of it.
Yeah, got those horns. When those horns come on and it creeps up and that build up.
I love how it dramatizes the moment.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a whole build up. So now you have a whole thing of like, what is Blake going to do? Is he going to kill his wife in order to get this money so he can, try to really escape town and do something, or is he gonna find some way to exonerate himself. You know, so what would you do in that situation? You broke out of prison, you broke out of OCJ, and you trying to get to Newburgh, and you see the homeboy that
Well, first I wouldn't be hitchhiking. That was the first mistake.
You just broke out of OCJ. You got to get to town somehow.
I don't know. I don't know. I've been on the side of the road plenty of times, and people just roll by. I don't know.
Yeah, well. So yeah, he's pretty much stuck in a bind. And mind you, these times, the whole race thing is going on.
Yeah.
They don't want to see what you doing over in these side of the woods, anyways, type thing. So to the point where later on you'll see like him talking to a white woman is a problem. We had these problems for a long time.
Well, you have to play. I feel as a black man, you have to play. You have to kind of drive throughout life defensively. Mm-hmm. So you're conscious of even how the volume of your voice, how you're speaking to certain people. Because you're not just worried about yourself. You're worried about how other people are perceiving your actions. I often think that way when I'm around other kids. Mm-hmm. When I'm around some, especially of a different race, I'm very cautious because I can feel people's discomfort. And kids, I think kids sense that, and they say, you know what, I'm just going to play with it. I'm just going to see what this guy is about. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to touch this guy. But
hey, little nigger baby. I'm going to curse this kid out. What you looking at, boy? I ain't your daddy. All right, so yeah, it just gets interesting after this point because there's also his wife is gonna come in and like kind of shocked that who's this guy in the crib?
Wife played by Dana Winters, and obviously it's late at night, and you bring this strange man and let alone a black man into this house in this neighborhood. What are you thinking?
Yeah. So yeah, and then as we move on, as it moves forward, his wife, he thinks his wife is messing around with some guy.
Yeah.
So, and his wife is kind of like clueless of what's really going on. And she's going to be clueless for a while because homeboy, he must have been thinking about this for a minute.
And I didn't get the vibe from his wife that she was on her way out. I didn't get that from her. I got the same oblivious type of vibe. So
right.
I don't know where he was getting all of this from, but maybe they should have consulted with Chester Himes about the plot again, because
and Blake, like we mentioned, like he's a James Blake is real, played by Raymond St. Jacques, is a real good actor. He's very smooth, and and you're looking at him wanting to feel like, dang, what is he going to do?
Yeah,
one, he escaped prison. The way that he talks, the way that he goes through it, and he's a learned guy. Yeah. Because while they were in the car, he knew of different pianists and I forget the names that he mentioned, but he knows his music, not just R&B. And I guess the guy, Whitlock, he was testing him on what he knows.
I think, if I was to point to a Raymond St. Jacques film that was close, he was played that it was closest to his character, I would say it would be this one. You see how that flows naturally, how he was talking about the classical music, because it speaks to his background. He's a Yale educated, even stage fencing scenes, and he did that for the whole of his life. And so, like he graduated, and one of his jobs out of Yale University, where he had a drama degree and he majored in psychology. So that's pretty interesting for an actor to major in psychology. But he goes ahead and he starts to work for this local theater company where he actually stages fencing scenes for a Shakespearean production. So this is really, it's more along the lines of who he really is.
Yeah, and it also helps him navigate to the different characters that he has to play. Yeah. And he plays them very well, I guess. And they also thought that he was going to be the second coming to Sidney Poitier. Yeah. Because I guess that was the other main black actor of the time and stuff. Very good actor, but I guess he was underrated or not as much known as the other big names.
I think he's very underrated.
But he really was, was a good guy, and he really didn't do much harm until he needed to put his hands to something.
What was wrong with it, Lake?
There's nothing wrong with the car, Miss Blair. Why'd you bring it to me?
I wanted to talk to you.
What about this time?
You know, there's nobody in this whole town who'll even listen to me.
Not even your own father?
Ever since my mother died, he's changed. You seem to understand what it means to be lonely. You know me better than my own people do.
Oh, don't be ridiculous, Miss Blair. There's lots of nice boys here in town who'd be glad to talk to you.
Just not my kind.
Well, there must be somebody here that you like.
I wish I could find somebody like you. You're so easy to reach out to. I mean, if you're around at 9 o'clock, I could get out. We could go for a drive. I've got to talk to somebody.
No, thank you, Miss Blair. I gotta go.
I guess I'm the wrong color.
You said it. I didn't.
More than anyone else, you know what it means when there's no one you can be friends with. They don't pay much attention to you either, do they?
Hardly.
Blake, I'm in trouble.
What kind of trouble?
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm in the worst trouble of my life, Blake. I'm gonna have a baby.
Well, who's the man?
I can't say. I can't say. Please help me. I don't know where to go. You've got to help me.
No. I'd be in worse trouble than you if I did. You must understand that, Miss Blair.
You must know someplace I can get rid of it.
No, ma'am, I don't.
Please, please.
Excuse me, ma'am.
She's asking him for help, knowing damn well the type of atmosphere with the races going on and stuff. And she ain't really, she really worrying about her jacked up situation.
Well, it's that fear of miscegenation, that mixing of the races, and that's what really controlled the imagery of black men at this time. And really, it persists to this day. What's interesting about this scene is I like how the emotions of each character complements each other. So the young lady's desperation, you can hear the desperation in her voice, but it's matched by his reticence and his trepidation, because he's saying to her, like, I like even how he when he got too uncomfortable, he started washing the window. He's like trying to make it look like, listen, nothing is going on here, and because he's really realizing that this is something that could really cost me my life.
Yep. And also, if you notice too, that the shop says James Lake mechanic spot. It's his spot.
It's his spot.
But he's still belittled.
Yes.
By Fonzie, not Fonzie, that other guy in there. So, even though when we have our own, they're still not looked at and respected in the light that we should be. And for her to come to him, she's looking up to him, for some way. So it's an unevenness. It was like a triangle. She's a white woman looking up to this black guy. And then you got that other white guy, I guess, he probably worked for Lake. But he's is empowering himself over him, because he was telling him, calling him boy and all this other stuff.
And it was like, hey, keep your,
so
your contact with her is inappropriate. He's basically overseeing the owner of this station.
Yeah. So that's crazy, and that happened. So this is the whole ploy of this movie. The racial tensions and the power and stuff like that. So it's even though this movie was really, everyone thought it was bad, it still has some interesting points. I watched it. I ain't gonna say it was a great movie. It was good, and I liked the direction it was going. But I wish the novel plot would have been more
the novel plot seems way more interesting, and it could have been developed in a better way. Mm-hmm. But I like her, even though they're from two different sides of the track. Mm-hmm. You can show how people from different backgrounds could be twins in being marginalized. So even though they are, everything in the society says that they should be separate, they have so much more in common. And she's trying to look past all that to get the help that she needs from him. But he's saying no.
And we're going to find out who impregnates her at the end of one of our scenes that we're going to talk about. But segue into what you just mentioned, we're going to go into this next scene. This is after he's escaping it, and he's still trying to get away. And the husband, Whitlock, he doesn't even like he wants him to die at this point. He really wants to kill him. And
he's playing the role too, because he's got to act for his wife.
And the wife she's at first, kind of distraught, because when she found out who he was by looking at the paper, it's like, oh, what's going on? And the husband thought he killed her. He ended up putting her to sleep or with a pillow. So now it's just like he's trying to tell her, listen, your husband ain't the dude that you thought he was. So now, but he needs her. Blake needs her in order to get to, find his innocence. So, but the other things too is there's a lot of good sayings in a lot of these movies. Before, like we mentioned, we watch these movies as pure entertainment. So now going back and watching these and hearing the dialogue of this screenplay, it has some stuff in there that holds some weight, and I personally find interesting.
You're determined to solve your case alone?
Alone.
But you can't be your own detective. Why don't you go to the police?
I've been to the police, and all I got was a prison sentence.
I guess I don't know very much, do I?
What kind of lives do you people live down here? Born in a city with built-in bigotry? Your whole life planned out for you? Right?
Yes, we did what our father told us to. We went to school on time. We went to church on time.
And hated on time.
No. No, something worse. Ignored.
Where I came from, we were taught to care for each other.
And I was born with a wall around me. And that was supposed to protect me.
It almost got you killed.
Let's walk over here a little bit. I didn't like that side. Oh. Watch that rock. Ooh. I didn't notice that sign on your forehead. It's shiny.
Tell me, why did you want to save me? Why didn't you just look out for your own skin?
I wasn't thinking of saving you. I'm thinking of saving me.
Then why did you come back to the cabin? We got you through the roadblock.
Really surprised myself. I became involved with you. I'm fed up with all this brutality. In a way, you're my sister.
Semi.
It's a tender moment.
Yeah, semi-tender.
Can you believe that?
As tender as a convict and a hostage could be.
Yes. Yes, I believe that.
Yeah, it says some stuff in there, It's just like a lot of the racism is just continuum of, the ignorance of the fathers and grandfathers of the past, and especially some of the women are just like brought into it because the man is supposed to be the leader of the family, and in that way they're more controlling and, changing their mind for them. And then, they become aware of it as they get older sometimes. And, Blake is like, we're actually just one big family, but y'all just jacking me up. I need to get myself out of this situation.
Well, there are times, and there have been times throughout history, race being this mythical construct that has real consequences for our lives. But a lot of times throughout history, you've seen that humanity can override all of those societal perceptions. So I kind of like that moment where he kind of thinks outside of himself, and it actually includes somebody else. He says, I missed that opportunity. And, even though it doesn't say there, but like I see those scenes as being connected, he missed the opportunity to help somebody thinking about himself. But here, he's got an even more desperate situation, but he comes back to help somebody else, even though he's the one that needs all the help right now. So that's a deep moment.
Yeah, and also he made her, and for a moment she had a look of lust for like just for her, not a hot second, the way his collar was up, it was popping, and his forehead was shining depending on the angle of the sun, and then he had to remind her that we're you're really my sister in a sense.
Yeah, so I think she kind of snapped out of it, a little bit.
Because he put her in the friend zone for a hot second right after that. But yeah, this is now he's on his way to really try to get himself out the jam at this particular point, and they actually going to his brother crib. I believe that's where they was going.
Yeah.
And we didn't mention about Lily.
Yeah, Lily is played by Barbara McNair.
This is her debut.
But it's either a first movie or a second movie. But she's a very accomplished jazz singer. Actually used to tour with Nat King Cole. So she's and she's a striking, lovely lady too, because that always helps.
I don't know if you notice. I think this is her debut.
Okay.
Her debut and Dionne Warwick debut, they both exposed themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people noticed, but and it's for Halle Berry to win her Grammy.
Yeah, she had to.
It's an Oscar.
Oscar.
She had to expose herself, so
had to make her feel good.
These back-to-back debut of black women, she exposed themselves. She was full nude in this one particular scene, but she's a singer, and Blake is also an artist, so he draws her while she's singing and stuff, and they become attracted to each other. They had a relationship. Yeah. He ends up getting locked up, and he wants her to not come back because he feels he's going to be in there for a long time. It's long time.
It's funny you mentioned nudity, right? A lot of the we're in the pre-Blaxploitation era, but as the era as we get into the era, you're going to see more women exposing themselves, and it speaks to distribution. It speaks to insurance,
marketing,
and marketing, and all of that. It was a way of if you could market your film as like kind of porn, the insurance wasn't as much. I think there was a way that they could push that NC-17 rated R. They flirted with that during that era.
Yeah, the ratings was very different, and even to the point, even with Van Peebles, he did too many scenes. They're gonna label it as X-rated. So, and that was another ploy too to market. So, showing some nudity, some sex and stuff like that. I guess the producers felt that is gonna be the piece, the picture that pushes this movie forward. But then you got some people who turned away by it. They feel that sex is always gonna sell. And they used it. If you look at the cover and stuff like that, and probably the trailer, they use that. We mentioned that before, and that was one of the things about Putney Swoop, how, the whole marketing firm. And if you look at these posters, the posters are the big marketing
very
pieces.
Provocative.
Yes, for it. So, but yeah, at this particular point, Blake is trying to exonerate himself by using the wife, Mrs. Whitlock, as his incentive, so he's taking her on a voyage with him, and so she can see what he's going through. She kind of feels, she ends up feeling for him the more she knows. He kind of left her in the dark a bit, so she can see he's helped building her trust for him.
And you're not alone. I think that's the major theme here is that you may feel alone, but you're not alone, and that's regardless of the societal norms that divide us.
This is actually going to show or reveal by saying how homegirl got impregnated, and also it is actually a reveal. And we noticed too. We talked about this earlier. Like early movies, they actually showed you more than they told you.
Yeah.
Where now, it's like they mention certain things as a reveal, but they'll go back and actually show it to you visually. But this is actually the end, the setup where it's a showdown.
Hold it, Harry! Get back over here. Get over here!
You dare come here after what you did to my daughter?
After what you did, don't you mean? That's right, Harry. He raped and killed his own daughter.
You're out of your mind. You're lying, say anything like that.
Then he got me drunk. It was 5 o'clock. I'll never forget it as long as I live. And at the time I was saying to myself, and why does he give me all this free liquor? Had me unconscious. And he scratched my hand and put my skin under her fingernails. Then he even had enough time to go back to my room and put a dress in it. Came back and poured more liquor down my throat. Went to the creek, got some mud and put it on my boots. And I sat in that prison for 5 stinking rotten years. Studying that testimony. Trying to figure out why you lied. And now I know why you lied. Well, you didn't remember. It was Tuesday, September 4th, quarter moon glare. Not a full moon. The prosecutor, he didn't care because he had me. You had your pigeon. Oh, you rotten degenerate.
And that's why you had me lie on the stand. You told me to say that you were in the bar all afternoon. She wasn't my real daughter, Harry. And my wife was married before. You killed Sally. Don't you? I love her too, Harry. You animal!
This guy, Blair, quoted Woody Allen in a sense. So in the beginning, Blake had the situation of kills this guy's wife to get 10 G's, 10,000, but he's still being sought after for escaping prison, even though he was in prison wrongfully. Now at the end, it's like, okay.
Yeah, because they still putting he still has that guard over his head. I wonder how they're gonna work that out.
Well, I mean, he didn't have a gun, so he just escaped prison. So that's the only way.
So how did that happen?
Yeah, the other guy shot him. So yeah, and he gets himself out of it by having homeboy, he spoke about the whole situation. Been in there 5 years. He had Elvis there who was beating him up in prison because he was going to marry her. That was his daughter, the guy's daughter. But he ended up raping her and killing her. So now, at the end, he gets off. So the movie was not bad. I don't think it was bad as how everybody flagged it to be.
It wasn't terrible, but it definitely wasn't good though.
It's kind of dry.
Yeah, it was kind of dry.
But it had its moments.
Yeah, it had its moments, and I think if there were more moments like we saw that we highlighted, the movie might have been a little more redeemable. But again, those great American tropes are on display here, and that's why he's such the perfect patsy in this plot, is because one, black guys, well, you got their absentee fathers. Two, they cannot control their urges, and three, they're violent. So the trifecta here, well, not the trifecta because, not the absentee father part, but the other two. I mean, he's on the hook for rape and murder.
Yeah.
So, and it's real easy. And it's not only easy for the larger society to think that, but because we have been programmed so much, we think that of ourselves. Sometimes we think the worst of ourselves.
Yeah.
So we have the same mindset. So we have to check ourselves a little bit.
Yeah, so they, changed the whole story of the novel in a sense, and they pushed this race thing. So that was one of the things that society did not like about this movie, the race and I guess the screenplay. But the actors were pretty good. I like this movie. It was a fair movie.
And again, this is late 60s. This is 68. America's tired at this point. I mean, the society is tired. I mean, riots, assassinations, one of a president. The whole race issue is going on. I'm gonna probably mention the Kerner Commission a little bit later on. But
Grumpy. All right. So yeah, this was He Hollers, Let Him Go, based off the movie with the same title, He Hollers, starring Raymond St. and Jacques. Good movie.
Kevin McCarthy and Dana Winters.
Yes, and they played very good as well. She's looking like Elizabeth Taylor's sister.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with this next movie, Change of Mind. All right, folks, we're going to get into our second movie now with the same actor, the lead actor, Raymond St. Jacques. This movie is Change of Mind, 1969. It is a drama, sci-fi, original screenplay directed by Robert Stevens.
Yes. For this to be a sci-fi and have the black lead was not done. I went and tried to research, what other black leads were in sci-fi. And you have features like, Nichelle Nichols. You have features like even Janet McClearn made her an appearance on Star Trek. Mm-hmm. So, there were some, but, here it is. Raymond St. Jacques carries the lead. Mm-hmm. And that's historic. Even for the encyclopedia of science fiction, for them to even deal with the race issue was groundbreaking.
I think when most people think of sci-fi, they think of space, creatures, and stuff like that. This is just particularly different in the norm of a drama because it had this fantasy of something that really can't happen. But in this movie, a white guy, he had cancer? Yes?
Yeah, he had terminal cancer. Mm-hmm. And he was on the way out, and they found a way to put his brain in a black man who had just gotten killed. Mm-hmm. And that's Raymond St. Jacques' character. Yeah. They found a way to put his brain in his otherwise well body.
Yeah.
So it's got that Get Out feel.
Bro. Which they don't.
David Rowe.
Yeah, they don't show him as a white guy.
Yeah, they just show him. Yeah, exactly. They show David Rowe as a black man.
Yeah, so to me, I like this movie.
I love this movie actually.
Yeah, I think they actually can remake this movie. I threw it out there and thought Chia Wilder could be David Rowe or play that part that Raymond St. Jacques was the lead character in. Could this really happen? Probably not, but it's brain transplant.
You expect a completely successful operation, Dr. Bornier, or is this just another step along the way in neurological surgery?
We are not just experimenting.
Is his new body responding to his brain?
Is he breathing without help?
What are his chances, Doctor?
We are hopeful. Did he know Ralph Dixon? It was an emergency operation, wasn't it?
Dr. Bornier, did he know that Ralph Dixon was a Negro?
Yes, he knew the subject's body was a Negro.
What is he now, Doctor? A white man in a black body or a black man with a white brain?
Margaret. David Rowe is what he always was, a human being. Please.
That's the beginning plot. They had surgery, and now he's, Dixon becomes David Rowe. And things are going to change now. His mother sees him different. His wife sees him different.
I can't imagine. And that's what I think is so intriguing about this movie is not that he has to deal with his whole new life, but he has to deal with your life is just not you. Now it's everybody else. How is everybody going to perceive you? Mm-hmm. How is the outer world going to treat you?
Yeah, him being an attorney. So it's just like, you also see an arc where he actually changes, and he makes it known what he's fighting for. Mm-hmm. He's actually a good guy. Most people, especially the position that they're working in, you're looked at one way or another, what you're fighting for. So, and then when a lady is killed later on, and the Liam Neeson's character,
it's Leslie Nielsen.
That's what I meant. Leslie Nielsen. Sheriff Webb is they think he killed her, and because she's a black woman, and he kind of don't like blacks.
And he's really he plays it. I think Leslie Nielsen plays this role so well that you wanted him to be guilty.
Yeah,
but he wasn't.
and this is before the movies that we know him from. So, even at this time, we talk about this time, the 60s and stuff, this is where a lot of the known actors that we know of or the predecessors getting their first start. It's like we mentioned, these are some of the women, this were their first movies, their up-and-coming starts. So you get to see, like we showed OJ, his first movie. So it's their start. So now you get to see them before they became the people that we know them of now.
Yeah, we're definitely not used to seeing Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah.
He's serious and angry and racist on top of that too. We're just not used to seeing that.
Yeah, so and he said some words to David Rowe, and that is some of the marking piece that stains him as a person or a character in this movie. But it was really good. 1969, the filming of it. Well, I believe they filmed this in Canada. Nothing crazy about how it looked or how it felt. It's just more of the plot. So when we think of sci-fi, we think of colors, the green, the blues, and stuff like that. None of that's there. It's just the fact that the brain transplant, white guy's brain into a black man's body.
Well, let me help you, Gloria.
I'm glad to see you, David. Looking so healthy and so attractive.
Oh, thank you. Oh, let's just say it's a fringe benefit.
David, I'll go home. Good to see you up and around again.
David.
Hey, Bill. About this game Saturday.
Why don't you sit here?
Thank you. I remember you once thought me attractive.
Nothing was ever wrong with my eyes, Gloria.
Call me David when you get out and around.
Why? Because I've changed?
I didn't think you were all that attractive before.
Good evening, Mrs. Robinson. Mr. Robinson.
Lionel, are you all right?
I'm all right.
Good evening, Jean.
Hello, David. Lionel must feel at home around here these days now, eh? Can I have a drink?
No, you've had enough to drink already.
Harry.
I believe Lionel has always felt at home here, Edwin.
Well, I'm surprised to see you here. It's pretty obvious, though, isn't it? Smart politicking, eh? Where are the Underhills? Maybe they went to the PTA meeting.
Not everybody came, Edwin.
Maybe they're not as curious as we are, or as anxious to keep the peace with their wives, like me.
Edwin, you're a little drunk. Why don't you go home? Come on.
Take your hands off me, boy, you freak.
Easy, Maggie, easy. Don't let it throw you. Relax.
It's all right, folks. I'm terribly sorry.
What was all that about?
It was nothing. Forget it, Gloria. How about a little music, Margaret?
He's not looked at as the David Rowe that they knew.
And the discomfort that everybody is feeling, or maybe the inherent biases that people have, this character that comes in and just utterly disrespects him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not even...
He ain't even paying no mind.
Yeah, he walked by him like, so here it is, your whiteness made you respected and visible, but now your blackness turns you into somebody that's invisible, man.
Invisible man.
And so his character crystallizes, he says everything that people may have been thinking. It's kind of like how when Spike Lee put that character Baines in the movie, even though he was not really part of Malcolm X's story. But Baines becomes a crystallization of the jealousy. So here, this character is the crystallization of everybody's discomfort, everybody's biases. He just happens to say what everybody is thinking.
Except for Homegirl, who trying to kick it to him,
Oh yeah, that's the other part. I wondered sometimes, like I said, well, was he trying to hit on her before this? Like what prompts this converation? Why is she suddenly interested in him now that he's a black man?
Oh, your hair ain't straight because he had a little afro.
Yeah,
it looks a little different. And what they say, I guess it goes along with the sex thing about the black folks. So it's a little different. And even so, that another guy hits on his wife.
His partner, actually.
Yeah.
His partner, somebody walking around, again, that drunk,
didn't happen before.
That drunk individual pretty much takes on everybody's biases because his wife is struggling. His mom is struggling. even his coworkers, his colleagues.
Yeah.
They're all struggling with this new person.
Yeah, and they don't know how to communicate with him.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So there's tension because that they don't want to know they don't know how to communicate with him because now David Rowe is a black man. Still same mind state. You know, he's doing everything that he always been, speaking the way he always have. Maybe a little deeper now, and you know stuff. So it's just like even his mother can't accept the way he looks. You know, so and that's real. That's it's a good sci-fi where how is this dilemma going to be?
And I like what you said at the beginning, where a lot of people think sci-fi is supposed to be outer space and aliens or whatever, but it makes it more real, putting these societal issues in a sci-fi construct.
Yeah.
And I think I really wanted that scene in because it's probably one of the more heartbreaking scenes. Because who would ever think there would be a time in your life where your mother has trouble connecting?
David, may I come in?
Oh, please.
Don't get up, David. I'm not disturbing you, am I?
No. Sit down.
It's been a long time since we've been able to have a chat, David. It's hard for me to believe that you're my son.
Well, it's me, Mother. Your face looks a little blotched. You've been eating chocolates again. And you promised me that you'd exercise some self-discipline. Mother, do you remember when I was a little boy, and every time I sneezed, you'd always shove that damn cough medicine down my throat?
I did give David that damn cough medicine.
What about that pretty secretary of Dad's, Natalie? Didn't you always say she was just a little flirt? And weren't you always extremely jealous of her? Do I sound like your son David now?
No. Sound more like your father.
Horns.
How can you look so
that
different
bass.
without being different?
So that makes you think, So yeah, and his wife can't connect, can't touch him really, because he's different. He's a different man.
And the black male side of me is saying, well, that's the same person. He's the same person on the inside, but I had to kind of take a step back. And I was like, listen, if I came home in a totally different body, different face and everything, I wonder how long it would take for my wife to reconnect with me. So
that's what I'm saying. If they could do this movie now, I would definitely like to see how that would react. But they, with that change, like how can it be really that close? How would your wife really relax? Especially if you had kids.
Yeah,
kids ain't gonna recognize him.
And that intimacy right there, you really become one with your spouse. And so now she's really essentially with a stranger. It doesn't matter that he's got the same brain. It's a totally different body.
Yeah. So and that's the spousal is not gonna connect at all unless you got to move on. That's gonna take time. And they said it, and it's actually gonna show. So, and even to the point where he goes back to Mrs. Dixon, because he still was looking through the black lenses that he had, and she still was looking for him as well.
And that's deep, because she's lost her husband, she's lost that man, and here he is
in the
back in the flesh, but he's got a different mind.
Yeah,
and I thought it was deep too that even though he's David Rowe, I guess his muscle memory has him drawn to her.
Yeah, because she says, you have his eyes, have his look, but you don't have his love.
Exactly.
So that wasn't there. So that was the disconnect. But then we get into Sheriff Webb, who is the monster in this movie, or who we think is the monster.
Yeah, we want him to be the monster.
Here's the stain. Let's talk about him staining himself for what he says and how he says it to David Rowe, the new David Rowe.
And this is Sheriff Webb, Leslie Nielsen's character.
And Peel, I thought you said he was going to cooperate.
Well, now, just a minute. I don't like the sound of that word. That sounds to me like somebody was caught with his foot through the plate glass window of a jewelry store or something like that.
Haven't you? Why'd you come down here, Webb?
Well, I tell you. Now, I just thought I'd come down here and take a look at the great liberal. The defender of the oppressed. The big white daddy of all the niggers in this county. Lieutenant Nigger himself. That's kind of like sublime justice, wouldn't you say? I ain't gonna answer no questions asked of me by no nigger. Now that I've had my look, I get back to work.
I wonder how many times he had to
Book him.
Seemed like Kane rolled off the tongue, didn't he?
Booking him? That's right. We're booking him.
Yeah, that's what I like to see behind the scenes. He's gonna book Sheriff Webb because he was the last person to be seen with this black woman who died.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess because he's a sheriff and he's a white man, he feels now he doesn't have to answer to David Rowe, who is now a black man. You know, so he sounds like a racist. Sounds like a racist, look like a racist. Can he be a racist?
It probably is, and he's probably exacted that racist perspective on the black constituency in that area. So he's not endeared himself to anybody, less let alone in the movie, but not to the viewing audience.
Hi, honey. Want some company?
No, thank you.
May I have a martini, Harry, please?
Sure.
Well, you look like you got the blues, baby. Sure you don't want some cheering up?
No, thanks.
But don't I know you? Haven't I seen you before?
No, I'm afraid not.
Well, okay. Maybe you're interested in making new friends.
I'm sorry. You're wasting your time.
I dig. Well, you're out of luck, sweet. 'Cause all the cats in here are straight. But you do ring a bell. Hey, wait a minute. I do know who you are. You're David Rowe, the DA. The instant Negro. Have you tried out the new equipment yet? I confess I'm fascinated.
Now that you're gone, days are dreary.
Well, you lied to me, baby.
What good am
You do want company.
I without you?
Just wasn't mine you wanted.
Hello.
I'm glad you came.
Would you like a drink? I really would like to talk to you.
I'll speak to Mako.
About what?
Taking a break?
Well, what about it? Oh, it's the brother with the new brain. Yeah, well, I heard you dropped in. Is he trying to put a claim on you? Well, all the brothers in the community understand that he thinks that he's white.
Mako, I think you're coming on too strong.
Baby, I've been waiting too long for you.
Well, waiting doesn't give you rights.
You signed a contract.
Just to sing.
Hold it. Do you know what's stitched inside of this freak's head? A white politician's brain. You're not leaving here with any white nigger. You're not going anywhere. You're going out there on that stage and perform for my customers just like your contract said.
You're a loser, Mako. You picked the right brain, but the wrong body.
For Homegirl, a lot of the women that were casted, other women were either prostitutes or something like that. Yeah. So they threw that in there. The other dude is acting like a pimp type thing. So you get a lot of these extras and speaking roles to be these certain types.
That's the classic setup right there for a prostitute. You don't see her on the corner. If you don't see her on the corner, you will see her at the bar. Mm-hmm. You remember I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker? Mm-hmm. Anna Marie Johnson's character did the same thing. Yeah. So it's a lot of stereotypes. It's alluding to the stereotypes that's getting ready to come.
The equipment. What you saying?
Yeah, and remember I said sometimes we can objectify ourselves based on our programming in this society. I mean, nobody is unscathed in this if you're in the hells of North America,
yeah,
you are not unscathed by this thinking.
Yeah, so
even towards your own people.
What she call him, a super nigga or something?
Instant. She called him instant.
Give David Rowe the DA. That instant.
He just became black over surgery. So I mean, but he's also in a black bar, but he's really a white guy. So they put him in that comfort zone with your peoples,
and he's still not accepted.
Yeah,
so this is difficult.
He was approached. He was feeling him for a minute, but otherwise, would David Rowe, the white David Rowe, go in that environment, that establishment?
Probably not.
Yeah,
probably not.
But they put that in there. They threw that scene in there for the environment. So now it also shows, let's create this tension between them because he's really not the black guy that he's looked at as.
But the depth of it too is, once again, the lovely Janet McLachlan plays his former love interest.
Mm-hmm.
That whole connection. Once you are, and this is for grown folks. Once you have been intimate with somebody on a consecutive basis, there is a connection that even after you stop, there's still a connection. It's almost like, if I was to describe it, it's almost like putting the North and South Pole magnet together. Mm-hmm. If there's nothing impeding that, eventually they're going to come back together.
Mm-hmm.
So even though he's David Rowe in his mind, he still has a connection
to Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the whole thing about the prostitute, they made the club owner the pimp because he was like, yo, you belong to me, to Mrs. Dixon. Even though she's just singing for him at the club.
She had to kind of set him straight on that because he was like, no, we have a contract to sing. I don't, but I kind of think that he was feeling a certain way about him anyway.
Yeah.
And now to see him again.
Mm-hmm. And then David Rowe had to hit him with that left piece, that old school.
Take advantage of that new body, that new strength.
So it was stuff in there, and it shows that reconnect, and it shows the stereotypical roles that always been with the blaxploitation. So they pieced that in there, well, I guess in a sense, but it's actually a good movement because afterwards she leaves with him. Or they go back home, and that's when things get talked out.
And when they not only get talked out, but they actually got physical. Mm-hmm. But that's when she realizes this is not my husband anymore.
Yeah, even with the equipment. And the arc of this is that the new David Rowe, he goes through some things. He's at court. They try Mr. Webb, Sheriff Webb, and he starts to see different points of views, and he starts to see the bigotry from within. Even though he has the white mind, and he hears and sees the bigotry that's happening to him, because now he's black David Rowe.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout time, and he even talks about his wife, that she has some bigotry in her, just because. It's like by default. Mm-hmm. That's the way you are. So, and even towards his colleagues, they talk to him a certain way, even though he's been doing the same thing, but now he's just guised as a black man.
His partner even hits on his wife and says, you can't be serious about it. You're not going to stay with him.
Mm.
So it's funny how the respect
leaves.
Shifts instantly.
Yeah, even to the point where they don't think that he can,
try the case.
No, not even that. He wants to be like mayor or something like that.
Yeah, he has bigger aspirations,
and they don't think he can do it because he's a black man. No one wants to see that.
Matter of fact, his peer says to him, you're not white, you're not accepted there, and the black community thinks you're a freak.
Yeah, so now we got this case here where a black woman dies, and the accuser is a sheriff, a white sheriff.
A racist white sheriff.
Do we understand you to mean that your instincts towards Henrietta Johnson were like those of a father to his daughter? Shall I repeat the question?
I was just trying to explain what I meant.
There is an easier way. You could try telling the truth.
I told the truth.
Have you? Exhibit G. What's the truth about Exhibit G? The whip with Henrietta Johnson's blood on it. What was that scene at the superintendent's apartment? I didn't put on the doctor that treated her for lacerations. Should I have, Sheriff Webb? Rose Landis. I just wanted to establish that there could not have been more than 2 or 3 minutes between the time she saw Henrietta Johnson alive and when the sheriff squeezed past her in the doorway on his way upstairs. Now, I could have asked her on how many occasions she heard screams across the hall from the apartment. What's the truth about that, Sheriff Webb?
His diction is crazy. I love it.
Your Honor, would you please instruct the witness to answer the questions?
Answer the question, Sheriff. Are these allegations based on the fact that you whipped the deceased?
Well, she deserves a belt every once in a while.
Would you repeat that, please?
I said she deserved a belting every once in a while.
What for?
What?
I said, what for? Why did she need a belting? What did she do that demanded that kind of punishment?
Played around.
I'm sorry, Sheriff. You'll have to repeat that. I can't hear you.
She played around!
Oh, I see. You mean she was unfaithful to you? Tell me, Sheriff, did you have a proprietary interest in her? Did she belong to you? Had you paid for her?
What do you mean, paid?
Like a mistress. You were paying for an apartment you both were sharing together. You were buying her new clothes, taking her out to restaurants, nightclubs, all out of the way places, of course. And all this despite the fact that both of you were married.
Yeah.
And that gave you the right to demand devotion, fidelity, and submission.
What are you making it out like? I never denied we had something going.
No, I'm making it out to be something much more than that. I'm not going to ask you why you called Chief Enfield instead of reporting the death as prescribed by regulations. What pressures you brought to bear on the chief, the mayor, a state senator, the governor himself, to have this murder charge dismissed. I'm not even going through all the physical evidence that already pinned you to your guilt, because all that's been proven beyond any kind of doubt. But what I want to know is why. Why did Henrietta Johnson submit to your sadistic behavior, the degradation, the physical brutality again and again and again? Why? I suggest that you took advantage of your office, given to you in trust by the people of this state, and that you used it to threaten, to coerce Henrietta Johnson. Is this not true? Or is it possible that we're to believe that Henrietta Johnson, or any woman, could have feelings for a man like you?
I did not kill her.
You killed her, Chief. And the state's going to prove?
I did not kill her. Why would I kill the one thing in my life that was... I mean, she was, It's not the way you tell it. My God, she was the one thing in my life that made me happy. She made me feel good. She made me laugh. She made me feel like a giant, Yes, I beat her, but I didn't kill her. Like bitch. Taunt me, Earl and I made it last night, honey. Oh, don't be upset. Everything I give out, I just come back like bread and water. She needed a weapon. Fly away from me, fly away with someone else. Just give herself to some other man. And to remember she was colored. Things were between us, as you think there was no difference. But no, I didn't kill her. Not her. Why would I kill something like that?
Because of jealousy. Sick, insane jealousy.
Because what happened before they went into this particular part, the judge called them into the quarters, and he kind of didn't want him to speak on certain things because he didn't want him as a black prosecutor to move forward.
To be questioning the sheriff.
But the old David Rowe, knew about their ways,
Uh-huh.
and he used that as leverage. Like, hey, if you don't allow me to speak the way I want, I'm gonna have to remind everyone that you were
the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan,
and that gives him the leeway to say what he freely sees, what he wants to say, to make his point.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing was, before we talked about how Mrs. Rowe couldn't connect with the new David Rowe, the black David Rowe.
and there's a level of self-reflection that she's looking at this racist man who, even with his vile perspective on black people, still loves a black woman intensely.
Henrietta.
And here he loves Henrietta Johnson intensely.
And she was married. They're both married.
And she's married to a black man now.
Yeah, and
she can't even bring herself to even kiss him or touch him or to even be in a wifely way with this man that she's been with. And she knows it's David Rowe on the inside.
Yeah.
So she has to really look at herself like, am I really as good as I think I am? Given I'm looking at this guy who's madly in love with this black woman.
And it took for her to hear Sheriff Webb to reveal that he couldn't have killed her because he was in love with her, and they done some freaky deaky stuff that no one else made him feel that way. She blew in his butt different than his wife did. So he had the straps and whips to prove it. So, and then when, you can see it in her face that's changed, and then that's going to get her to be like, wow. Because he said he didn't see no color. He just saw her and how she made him feel. So now Mrs. Rowe is like taken back, and she feels like, okay, if he feels that way, I'm going to try to use that to get my husband back.
Yeah.
But does that happen?
We don't know.
It's not going to happen. And the other thing too is it's just a lot going on, because now you have different communities weighing in on the verdict. So you got the one community that's pretty much on the sheriff's side, that's, you're not gonna change our community. This is the way our status is. I don't care if you're black or white, whatever it may be. Then you got the black community is like, hey, we need closure. We need something because our sister done passed.
We need somebody to advocate for us. We need at least one case to go our way. And he could win us over if this trial goes the way we think it's supposed to go.
Yeah. So and that's the thing. You got this scale. Which side is actually going to weigh more? You got the white society that's held up. We're going to hold what we have, and you got the black folks is like, hey, we need our justice.
Yeah.
And you got the white brain black David Rowe is the one who can weigh it out. But remind you, he's actually a good guy. He's good at what he does. And I ain't gonna say he wasn't biased. He took in what he's become, because now he's feeling the prejudice that's been happening to these people, these black folks, now that he's become black.
It's kind of like Black Like Me a little bit.
Yeah.
As you can see, Charles Whitmore's character kind of took on the Yanks.
Yeah.
He seems to be connecting with the Yanks now.
Connections. There's some connections. This is now Mrs. Rowe want to talk to her husband. She wants to connect because, hey, you just did your thing in court. I want to, let's try to see if we can.
But she's pushed him away a little too often.
Yeah. So now he sees it, and mind you, he sounds like a black guy. You hear those horns, folks?
Come on, Scupper. Up on your feet. Over here. Sit down. You comfortable? Yeah. How about a drink?
She overhears.
By the way,
the lie.
Did R.L. Johnson buy that album for Henrietta? Here you go. Oh, Now, let's see if I have all the facts straight. You testified that you spent the evening with Earl Johnson between the hours of 9 and 1. Is that correct? Did you go there later, or did you both go together?
No, I didn't go with him.
What?
The horns mean something's not right.
What do you mean, Scupper? Did you spend the evening with Earl Johnson, or did you not? Now tell me, goddammit, did Earl Johnson kill Henrietta? Have you perjured yourself?
Let the son of a bitch burn. Let the bastard go up and smoke me.
How much? How much, Scupper, to put a knife in your friend's back? $10,000? A lifetime job? How much? Answer me, goddammit. How'd they get to you?
Yeah, that's right. They said you were too smart.
Get him out of here. What do you want me to do with him? Keep him out of sight. Go ahead. Well, Meg, what are you doing here?
Scupper had been lying?
They got to him somehow. Threats, blackmail. I don't know how, but they got to him. Despite the fact he went through one hell of a grilling.
Well, could you get a continuance?
No, Meg.
Blacklist,
Jury's in deliberation now.
Blackballed.
You put any kind of doubt in their mind, well,
Black sheep.
I'll never get a conviction.
What are you going to do, David?
Oh, Meg, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've made them eat their prejudices and give me back my place. And I'm not about to give it up just because he lied. Well, now, what's the matter with you? Don't you recognize politics? The payoffs, the lies, the games?
Well, I've never seen you like this, David.
Well, perhaps it's because you haven't looked in months. Now, come to Meg, please. Now, don't start rationalizing your bigotry, because I really don't want to hear it. Well, just take your white morality and your white ass the hell out of here.
Don, DeMarco.
Teddy Pendergrass, close the door. Yeah.
Bars.
So, and that was the change. That was, it's a total arc. He become a different person now because he ingested all this stuff, and from his colleagues, from society, and he thought that he could win this case rightfully. Scupper. I don't know where they got that name from.
It just sounds dirty. It just sounds like I don't want any part of that name.
Scupper. I thought it sounded like some type of fish or something. But he was questioned later after he pretty much had all his evidence going towards Sheriff Webb.
And hence that's the dilemma now.
Mm-hmm. So
this is good for his career. He can actually convict this guy. And the whole community that was really on the fence about him will be at his back.
Be embraced.
Or he can exonerate this guy who is racist, who has not endeared himself to a community. Now, he lets him off. Now he's...
on that technicality that Scupper done. So, but it just shows that David Rowe is actually a good guy. As far as, he didn't want to do the wrong thing during the right times.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and it also showed where his wife thought she was going to get him back and didn't see the change. You had been ignoring him for so long, and now he's going to move on.
There's several times where he tried to connect with her, where he tried to be understanding, and she was just totally frigid when it came to him.
Yeah. Your chest hairs are not the same. You wear your collar up now. You're popping. I don't know. Your voice is a little deeper. You're not my David. Overall, I thought it was a real good movie. I really think they can redo this movie. I think it'd be dope to do a remake of this movie. Raymond St. Jacques is actually a real good, very good actor.
Criminally underrated actor.
Yeah. So I think we're also going to do a review of our pre-Blaxploitation and, talk about some of these figures, that we talked about thus far, because we ain't even into the 70s like we want to, the Blaxploitation era. But it was definitely dope. The movie was well balanced for a sci-fi. It was good drama. It was very interesting to see the takes from actually one point of view. It's different from Black Like Me, but it kind of have, a similar dilemma.
I would say for this, even though the critics didn't slam the movie, I would say its criticism of how it dealt with the race issue does not age well. And so this is the part where I talk about the Kerner Commission. The Kerner Commission, the great quote that it says out of there is that we are headed toward two societies, one black, one white, separate and unequal. That was in 1968. This movie is in 1969. And like I said, America has been through it all during this 60s era, but it's passed civil rights legislation. It's made advancements. And now what we want from our art, a lot of times what we want from our art is that we want some type of closure. And it leaves the race issue, it leaves the issue of his marriage open. And oftentimes that's what happens in life. We want our art to imitate life, but yet we want this nice package that everything is going to be okay inside of 90 minutes. And it doesn't work that way.
No, it's painted differently.
It doesn't work that way. We don't have the catharsis that we need from this movie because of the open-ended issue on the race. And then that's what the critics were saying, is that the movie poses questions that it doesn't answer.
Yeah.
Well, we're still grappling with this race issue 50 plus years later.
Yep. Yeah, still painting it. So, and that's the underlinings of this blaxploitation era that we talk about. This is the pre-blaxploitation of the mid-60s to the late 60s. And it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff that we see. A lot of great films, good cinema.
Yes.
The dialogue isn't necessary. It brings up certain points. It's causing us to have this dialogue, which is why we're having a show. But yeah, let's move with this dialogue to try to end some of this stuff, So you want to see, it's helping people see certain things that they haven't seen. If you're from the suburbs and never seen an urban area, you may see some of the things, and vice versa. And, so I guess there's, if we're scared to talk about it in person, hey, you showed it in movies.
We should be challenged, we should not be afraid to be challenged within the art. I think that's one place that we can be challenged.
They're watering down the colors a little bit too much and leaving the wrong type of stains. Make sure you follow us on social media, our Facebook page, The Groove Pavement, our Instagram, The Groove Pavement, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube page. Hit that bell so new episodes come, you get to see them. And our website, thegroovepavement.com. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. I'm hoping y'all get a lot of things, so let us know how y'all felt about these two movies, how you felt about St. Jacques, Raymond St. Jacques, and how are we doing? We'd love to hear your input so we actually stay connected. What's your last words of overall these two movies?
Go back and watch these movies.
Yeah.
I think that this era there's a lot of hidden gems, and it would help us if we look back.
I found Change Your Mind online.
Yeah.
If He Hollers.
If He Hollers, there's only the clips of it, but you can get the DVD pretty easy.
Yeah. So, YouTube is your resource. It's your library. We use it as well. So, again, I'm Shawn Strong.
And I am Decarius McClearn.
This is The Groove Pavement. We'll see y'all real soon on some next episodes. We'll have a lot more for you guys. So, like our social media stuff, everything else, and eat less chicken.
Right on.
All right. Peace. The Groove Pavement podcast, talk show, and movie review,
where we break down the blaxploitation era, the cinematic genre, the exploitation of the black culture and experience through film and media.
We'll also dive into the cast, the subgenres, the TV shows, and the music.
Outside of the films, we'll view some critical signs of the time and what these stories meant then and now, from entertainment to society to economics.
The Groove Pavement.
Can you dig it, sweet mama?
Dig it?